You stand at the edge of the desert. The wind moves slowly across the endless sea of sand, carrying with it a silence that feels older than time itself. In the distance, the pyramids rise, massive, still, unchanging. For thousands of years, they have watched the world change. And now, you are here. You take a slow step forward, your feet sinking slightly into the warm sand. And for a moment, you feel it, that strange sensation, as if you are not just standing in a place, but in a memory of a civilization that once ruled the world. Ancient Egypt, a land of gods, myths, of kings, of secrets buried beneath stone and time. But this is not the Egypt of textbooks. This is something deeper, something quieter, something hidden. You begin to walk. The sun slowly rises behind you, casting long shadows across the sand, and with every step, the past begins to awaken. You enter the city as it once was, not ruins, but life. The air is filled with sound. Voices echo through narrow streets, vendors calling out, children running past you. You smell bread baking somewhere nearby, warm, simple, real. The Nile flows quietly beside the city, its waters reflecting the golden light of morning. Everything here depends on it. Without the Nile, there is no Egypt. You walk closer to the river, watching as farmers begin their work. They move slowly, carefully, because they understand something you are only beginning to see. Life here is not controlled by people. It is controlled by the rhythm of nature, the flooding of the Nile, the rising and falling of water. It decides everything: food, survival, power. And yet, this fragile system created one of the greatest civilizations in history. How? As you move deeper into the city, you begin to notice something else: order, structure. Nothing here feels random. Everything has a place, a purpose. From the smallest worker to the most powerful ruler. And at the center of it all stands one man, the Pharaoh. Not just a king, but something more, a living God. You do not see him yet, but you feel his presence in the way people bow their heads, in the silence that follows his name, in the fear and the devotion that fills the air. Because in Egypt, the Pharaoh is not just a ruler. He is the connection between this world and the next. The city grows quieter as you approach the palace. Guards stand still, watching everything. You slow your steps, your breath becoming softer, as if the air itself demands respect. And then you see it, the palace, large, elegant, untouchable. This is where decisions are made, decisions that shape the lives of thousands, maybe millions. And somewhere inside, the Pharaoh waits, a man believed to control not just land, but destiny itself. But Egypt is not only about power, it is also about belief, about what happens after life ends. Because here, death is not the end, it is a beginning. And this belief will lead you somewhere far more mysterious, somewhere hidden beneath the surface, where secrets have slept for thousands of years. You leave the city behind, moving once again into the desert. The wind grows stronger now, whispering across the sand, as if trying to tell you something. And ahead of you, the pyramids grow larger, more powerful, more impossible. How were they built? Why do they exist? And what lies inside them? These are questions people have asked for centuries, but the answers are not simple. You stop, standing before the Great Pyramid. Its stones are massive, each one placed with precision, with purpose. You reach out your hand, touching the surface. It is warm from the sun, but beneath that warmth, you feel something else, something ancient, something silent, as if the stone itself remembers. And in that moment, you realize something important. Egypt is not just a place, it is a story. A story written in sand, in stone, in silence, and you have only just begun to understand it. As the sun climbs higher into the sky, you take a deep breath and step closer toward the entrance of the pyramid, into darkness, into mystery, into history itself. And this is only the beginning. You step forward, leaving the warmth of the sun behind you and entering the shadow of the pyramid. The air changes instantly, cooler, heavier. The light fades slowly as you move deeper inside, each step echoing softly against the ancient stone. The entrance is narrow, forcing you to lower your head as you walk, as if the pyramid itself is reminding you, you are not meant to be here. The passage stretches forward, long and silent. The walls are rough, yet carefully shaped, every stone placed with intention. But by whom and how? You run your fingers along the surface, feeling the cold texture beneath your skin. These stones have been here for thousands of years. They have seen things that no living person has ever witnessed. As you move deeper, the air becomes still, too still. There is no wind here, no sound, only your breath, and the quiet presence of something ancient, something watching. You continue forward until the passage opens slightly. A chamber, small, hidden. You step inside, and for a moment, you feel it, that strange sensation again, as if time has stopped. This place was not built for the living, it was built for the dead. In ancient Egypt, death was not feared, it was prepared for, planned, perfected. Because they believed life did not end here. It continued in another world, a world beyond this one. And to reach that world, the body had to be preserved, protected, transformed. You imagine the process, slowly unfolding, the priest working in silence, careful, precise. They remove what is no longer needed, treating the body with oils and herbs, wrapping it layer by layer until it becomes something new, a mummy, not just a body, but a vessel, a bridge between worlds. The room feels heavier now, as if the past is pressing closer. You take another step and notice markings on the wall, symbols carved deeply into the stone, hieroglyphs, each one holding meaning, power, stories. You move closer, tracing them with your eyes. They speak of gods, of journeys, of trials beyond death. Because for the Egyptians, the afterlife was not guaranteed. It had to be earned. Your heart would be weighed against a feather, the feather of truth. If your heart was heavy, filled with lies, with wrongdoings, you would not pass. Something would be waiting, something that consumes. The silence grows deeper, and for a moment, you feel as if you are no longer alone. You turn slightly, looking into the darkness behind you. Nothing, and yet, it does not feel empty. You take a breath, slow, careful, and continue forward. The passage rises now, leading upward, towards something greater, more important. This was not just a tomb, it was a path, a journey designed to guide the soul. And at the end of that journey, there is always a final chamber, the heart of the pyramid. You reach it slowly, step by step. The space opens before you, larger than the others, more complete, more intentional. In the center, there is a stone structure, simple yet powerful, a sarcophagus. You approach it, feeling the weight of everything around you. This is where the pharaoh once lay, not as a man, but as something more, a god returning to the stars. You place your hand gently on the edge, cold, silent, still. And suddenly, you understand something. This place was never meant to impress. It was meant to protect, to hide, to preserve something far more important than gold or treasure. Belief, a belief so strong that it shaped an entire civilization. The idea that death is not the end, that life continues, that something waits beyond this world. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the silence settle around you. And when you open them again, the darkness feels different, less empty, more alive. You take a step back, slowly turning toward the passage you came from. The pyramid has shared something with you, not answers, but a feeling, a glimpse into a world where mystery was not feared, but embraced. And as you begin to walk back toward the light, you realize there is still so much you do not know, because Egypt never reveals everything at once. Some secrets are meant to stay buried. For now, you step deeper into the silence of Egypt's past, leaving behind the world of the living and entering something far more sacred, far more unsettling, because here, death is not an end, it is a transformation. You stand in a dimly lit chamber. The air is thick with the scent of oils and dried herbs, a strange mixture, both calming and disturbing at the same time. Before you lies a body, still, silent, waiting. This is where the journey begins, not of life, but of what comes after. The priests move slowly around the body, their faces calm, focused, as if they have done this many times before, because they have. For them, this is not strange. It is necessary. They believe the soul cannot survive unless the body is preserved, protected, perfected. You watch carefully as the process begins. First, they cleanse the body, washing away everything from the past life, preparing it for something new. Then, with precise movements, they begin to remove what is inside, organs carefully taken out, each one treated with importance, respect. Nothing here is random, everything has meaning. The heart is left behind because it is not just an organ, it is the center of the soul. The rest is placed into special containers, canopic jars, each one guarded by a god, each one holding a piece of the person for the journey ahead. Time passes slowly, days, weeks, even longer. The body is dried, preserved in a substance that pulls away all moisture, leaving behind something still, unchanging. And then the wrapping begins, layer after layer of linen cloth, each piece placed with care, with intention. Amulets are added, small objects filled with power, protection, guidance. Spells are whispered softly, spoken not to the living, but to something beyond. You feel the atmosphere shift, heavier now, more intense. Because this is not just preparation, this is a ritual, a passage. And finally, the body is complete, transformed. No longer just human, but something else, something ready, a mummy. You take a slow step back, trying to understand what you are witnessing. But this is only the beginning, because preserving the body is not enough. The real journey comes after. You find yourself standing in darkness once again, but this time it feels different. You are not alone. You are following something, a presence, a soul. It moves forward into a space that feels endless, weightless. This is the afterlife, a place where every soul must face judgment. You see a scale, simple yet powerful. On one side, a feather, light, perfect. On the other, a heart, the heart of the person who has died. You watch as it is placed gently onto the scale. Everything becomes still. This moment decides everything. If the heart is light, pure, free of wrongdoing, the soul may pass. It will continue into a peaceful existence. But if the heart is heavy, filled with regret, with lies, with harm, then something else happens, something darker. A creature waits nearby, silent, patient, a being that consumes those who fail. And in that moment, you understand the truth. In Egypt, life was not just about living, it was about preparing for this, for judgment, for what comes next. You feel a chill move through you because suddenly it all makes sense. The pyramids, the rituals, the care, the belief. It was never about death. It was about what comes after. And as the vision slowly fades, you find yourself standing once again between two worlds, the living and the dead. And now, you understand both, but Egypt still has more to show you, more to reveal, because even with all of this, some mysteries remain unsolved. You stand once more before the pyramids, but this time, you are not just looking at them, you are questioning them, because something does not feel simple anymore. The size, the precision, the perfection. It should not be possible, not for a civilization so ancient, and yet, here they are. You walk slowly along the base of the Great Pyramid, your hand brushing lightly against the stone, each block massive, heavy beyond imagination. And still, they were moved, lifted, placed. How? No machines, no modern tools, no technology as you know it. And yet, the alignment is almost perfect. The pyramid points toward the stars with a precision that feels intentional, deliberate. You look up toward the sky, and for a moment, you wonder, was this really just a tomb or something more? Some believe these structures were not built by simple methods, that there was knowledge, now lost, a deeper understanding of mathematics, of the earth, of the universe itself. You walk around the pyramid, noticing how every angle feels exact, every line purposeful. There are no mistakes here, no randomness, only design. And that design raises questions. Questions that have never truly been answered. You move toward a nearby structure, smaller but no less mysterious. Temples, built with the same care, the same precision. Inside, the walls are covered in carvings, symbols that tell stories, but also symbols that seem to describe something else, shapes, patterns, objects that feel almost unfamiliar. Some say they represent simple tools, others believe they show something more advanced, something beyond what history accepts. You pause, studying one carving closely. It almost looks like something mechanical, but that cannot be. Or can it? The wind moves softly through the ruins, as if carrying whispers from the past. And those whispers seem to ask a question. Are we missing something? You step back, looking at the entire landscape, the pyramids, the temples, the endless desert, all connected, all part of something greater. Some believe Egypt held knowledge that was never meant to last forever, that over time it was lost, buried, forgotten, and what remains are only fragments, clues. You feel a strange sense of curiosity, mixed with something deeper, respect. Because whatever the truth is, one thing is clear. Ancient Egypt was far more advanced, far more complex than it appears. And perhaps we have only scratched the surface. The sun begins to lower slowly, casting long shadows across the sand. The pyramids change color, glowing softly in the fading light. And in that moment, they feel alive. Not as structures, but as witnesses, watching, waiting, keeping their secrets locked away for those who are willing to look deeper. And now, you are one of them. But there is still one final piece, one final understanding that Egypt has yet to reveal. The sun begins to set, slowly, quietly, as if the world itself is preparing to rest. You stand once more in the desert, the pyramids behind you, the endless horizon before you. The light softens, turning gold, then deeper, then fading into shadow. And in this quiet moment, you begin to understand something. Egypt is not eternal. It feels eternal. It looks eternal. But like all things, it changed. Time moved forward. The great cities, once filled with life, began to grow silent. The power of the pharaohs weakened. Their voices, once believed to be divine, no longer held the same force. New rulers came, new beliefs spread, and slowly, the old world faded. The temples, once alive with rituals, became empty. The sacred ceremonies were no longer performed. The knowledge, once protected so carefully, began to disappear, lost, forgotten, buried beneath the weight of time. And yet, not everything vanished, because some things leave traces. You walk slowly across the sand, feeling the cool air as night begins to take over. The stars appear above you, one by one, the same stars the ancient Egyptians once looked at, the same sky that guided their beliefs, their dreams, their understanding of life and death. You look up, and for a moment, there is no difference between you and them. Thousands of years apart, and yet standing under the same universe, searching for the same answers. What happens after life? Why are we here? What comes next? These questions have never changed. And perhaps that is the true legacy of Egypt. Not the pyramids, not the gold, not the power, but the questions. The way they looked beyond the present and tried to understand something greater. You take a deep breath, the silence wrapping around you. And in that silence, you feel something unexpected, calm. Because even though their world has ended, their story has not. It remains in stone, in sand, in memory, and now in you. You turn slowly, taking one last look at the pyramids. They stand quietly, unchanged, as they have for thousands of years, watching, waiting, not for answers, but for those who are willing to ask. You begin to walk away, step by step, leaving the past behind, but carrying something with you, a feeling, a connection, a quiet understanding that time moves on, but meaning remains. And as the desert fades into darkness and the stars shine brighter above you, you realize this journey was never about Egypt alone. It was about something much deeper, something timeless, something human. And in that realization, you finally close your eyes and rest.